Hey there guys, I want to start this video off today actually with a little bit of apology to some of my viewers, specifically on YouTube, specifically commenters, because I just recently discovered, after clearly a long time of being completely oblivious, that there's a whole YouTube, ever since, one of the points when they changed how YouTube works, which is like every year and a half or something, at some point they changed how the My Channel comments works, and they added a whole new section where they have likely spam comments. And it's really tucked away in, you have to go into My Channel, My Community Manager, then you have to go into comments, and then there's a column for it. You click on that. And it turns out there's a whole bunch of completely not spam legitimate comments. In fact, I don't think a single one of them was spam. A lot of good people left some really good comments, some really good, relevant discussion. MC Player himself commented on my video to MC Player, and it was just sitting there in spam for like literally a year. Some other people, some were more recent too, but some go back as far as over a year. So I have since I discovered that, I completely approved all of them, and they're all live now. And now that I know it's there, your column is never going to sit in that limbo again until YouTube completely changes their whole format again on me. But so I completely apologize to you guys. Obviously, it wasn't spam. It's really a shame because I'm sure some of you guys would have appreciated a response or to get involved in the discussion, way before it was ancient. So I totally apologize for that. But that's just something I wanted to get out of the way right away before we started. Now let's actually talk about the record we're here to talk about, or records plural, The Wrath of Kane by, of course, Big Daddy Kane, 1988, Warner Brothers Cold Chillin' Records. Now, The Wrath of Kane is one of Big Daddy Kane's great early singles, but strictly speaking, it really sort of wasn't a single. In the US, it was basically just released right here. This is, as you can see, picture cover, pretty dope record. Not The Wrath of Kane, it's I'll Take You There. But The Wrath of Kane is the B-side. The Wrath of Kane was not on his debut album, or on his second album, or on any other album. It was a 12-inch only, pretty much. I'm going to cover all that in a minute. Real quick, though, I guess I'll Take You There. This song is okay. It's got some cool samples and stuff, but it's really his sort of slower, smoother, lighter message rap. Actually, as you can see, well, this is the edit version, but here, the remix. They did remix it to try to kind of counteract that. This is a 12-inch only exclusive remix, by the way. It's not on the album or anything. The regular version is on the album version. Where they try to, add some more samples and kind of chop it up a little bit and make it a little bit more hip-hop, a little bit more hardcore. But it really doesn't mesh. It really doesn't fit the record. It doesn't fit what Big Daddy Kane is saying or how he's saying it. It's meant to be kind of a smoother, calmer message kind of song. And it works that way. So it's an interesting remix, but it's really not essential. The real reason to get this 12-inch, because even the original version is not that great, this is definitely a lesser Big Daddy Kane song, the real reason is for the B-side, The Wrath of Kane. It even says right there, The Wrath of Kane not available on any album, and is definitely, I think they knew what record they were pairing it with, because like the title implies, this is him really going off, hardcore, fast track, just killing it, like fast rapping, especially for 1988, insane flow where he's just pounding on the syllables is really impressive even today. Incredible flow, great lyrics. Not necessarily like it's really the lyrics, not so much about how like smart or thoughtful they are, but just the way the wordplay and how he wraps it around to the beat and all is really pretty amazing. And even to this day, people say, 88 stuff is dated, but you can't hear very many MCs keeping up with Kane on a track like this. It's also a really killer instrumental produced by Marley Marl, of course, just like everything in Big Daddy Kane's first album, that era. Several tight samples. The main one is really this JB's record, which tons and tons of rappers have used, but it's one of those records like a lot of James Brown kind of stuff where, the record is so, the original I'm talking about now, not The Wrath of Kane, is so kind of broken up, it's got so many elements to it that you hear several rap songs sample one part of it, several other rap songs sample another, and you won't, until you actually go back and listen to the original JB's record, you won't realize that this is the same record at all. It sounds like, wow, these records got this sample, and this record got this totally different sample, a totally different sound. You'd never associate them together, but they actually all come from this record. But several rap records after The Wrath of Kane did use this part of it. Most notably, I would say, is Ghetto Boy's Mind of a Lunatic. It's that kind of ding, 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 and ding, 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 and that kind of plunky funk guitar. That riff, that loop, it's been used by some other people too. Michie Me used it, although she kind of slowed it down. Cool Keith is Housing Things, Ultramagnetic MCs, absolutely uses it. So it's a really kind of a fast, it really kind of pumps you up and gives the song some energy, which is absolutely what Wrath of Kane was going for. It's such a great song, that's really kind of a shame that it didn't get its own single. It is just a B-side. Although, strictly speaking, I did pick this little 7-inch up. This is an import from the UK, but this makes Wrath of Kane its own single. It's got an exclusive picture cover here. This for the remix, they just used the raw remix, which is the same version that's actually on the album. There's a little bit here from the cassette, Long Live the Kane, which is of course Big Daddy Kane's first album, but that's strictly referring to Raw, the B-side. Like I said, that version is on the album, because Wrath of Kane, not on any album, mostly. This version, the main version, the studio version I'll call it, of Wrath of Kane is not on any album. But there is something, I'm not even going to play you a clip of Wrath of Kane, because A, I mean, a lot of you guys are probably pretty familiar with it, but B, because we're going to come to what really inspired this video, the live mix of Wrath of Kane. So, okay, here we go. It's a Big Daddy thing. Big Daddy Kane's second album came out the year later in 1989. And now, what's interesting is, back in the 80s, I was getting albums like cassette. This is what I bought back in the day when I was, probably even pre-high schooler. Is that when I, come online now later, years later, and talking to more hip-hop heads from around the world, and even when I met some at college, et cetera, talking about this album, and other albums too, is like heads, most heads were still getting the vinyl in the 88s, especially the more serious fans. Obviously, me being a suburban kid in New Jersey, I was buying cassettes, but, real heads were getting the vinyl. And so what they weren't familiar with, and what, the versions of the album with the bonus tracks, which I knew, albums have bonus tracks on them, because you would see right on the cover featuring 3 bonus tracks. But to me, it was just the album, So like Kool G Rap's second album, Rikers Island, to me is a part of that album. It is the last song on the album. So most people say, oh, there's no more production on that album, and it's a real kind of change in Kool G Rap's style, And I'd be like, well, yeah, but Rikers Island is on there. And everyone's like, no, it's not. That's an old single from the 80s. You don't know what you're talking about. But to me, it was on there, because it was on the album. And so this album has some exclusive bonus tracks, which a lot of people aren't familiar with. Even people, I'm not even talking about like younger audiences. I mean, even heads who bought this album back in 1988 and were huge hip-hop fans, they just didn't know because they weren't picking up the cassette version. And what the cassette version has, which is really awesome, I actually prefer it to the version of Wrath of Kane that we've been talking about, the big single, is a live version of Wrath of Kane at the Apollo. Again, this is 1989. This is really amazing. It's even more energy. It's even hyper. It's essentially the same. It's the same instrumental. It's the same vocals. It's the same raps and everything. By the way, here's a real quick aside. There's one other bonus track on here, and it's Rap Summary, Lean On Me, the remix. That was obviously from the Lean On Me soundtrack. Pretty big single. And there's a dope, even tighter remix, although both are strong. And the remix was pretty much 12-inch only, except again, it was a bonus track on the cassette version right here. Bam. It's a Big Daddy thing, Big Daddy Kane. 2 bonus tracks. But the one I'm here to talk about is Wrath of Kane live. Now, this album is where he really started branching off. He got other producers, from Prince Paul to like Teddy Riley. Easy Mo B is on here. Marley Marl has a couple tracks on here, but he's no longer in Marley Marl's pocket. Which I'm sure to him was a really great thing. But obviously to fans of Marley Marl, maybe he's kind of branching off. And still, this album, I think, is pretty incredible end to end. But it is an indication of his later albums where he would go a little further off the rails and maybe not so strong. And once you get into like Prince of Darkness. But here, I think everything is really pretty tight. Even the Teddy Riley joint, I really love. I liked Teddy Riley's 80s style a lot. So that kind of worked for me as his kind of club dance song, admittedly. But anyway, so having the Wrath of Kane on here really ties in that Marley Marl sound, because that's a classic Marley Marl track too. So, and Lean On Me remix is a Marley Marl track. So again, it just really kind of tied all of his earlier stuff together better. But really, I mean, I don't even think of it as a bonus track. In fact, I don't even think I realized back in the days which particular tracks were the bonus tracks. I just knew it had 2 bonus tracks. I just grew up on this. This is actually the Wrath of Kane I heard first, because I didn't get the 12-inch until I was a little bit older. So I didn't hear the Wrath of Kane, the original version. I just knew the live version. I knew Wrath of Kane wasn't on his first album, and so I was like, where's that song from? Obviously, later on, I figured it out. But so I just grew up on that live version, and he kills it. There's so much energy. I mean, I can still... right now in my mind, I can hear the guy saying, Big Daddy Kane has arrived at the Apollo, the announcement, the audience blows up, he's got a huge crowd, and it's not like, You know, if you grew up on earlier hip hop live records like those Run DMC things where they would perform a record in the studio and add this really loopy fake crowd sounds in the background, just go, hey, yeah, and that just kind of loops over the whole song. You know, this is a real live song. The audience is freaking out. He comes with so much energy, lots of cuts, so it winds up sounding better than the album version, and I am not a live music kind of guy. Like 99.99 times out of 100,000, you know, if you ask me, you know, do you want to see somebody live or hear a live version? I'm usually like not so interested because the album version is where they get it right, where they get it perfect. You know, it's where if they flub the vocals, they go and they do it again. If the DJ's cuts aren't 100% perfect, they just keep doing it until it's perfect. If somebody's playing guitar or anything like that, they just keep playing and recording until they get the perfect version, sync them all up. It's really the ideal version of the song. So why do I want to go to some club and hear the same guys perform the song kind of half-assed and sloppy and it doesn't sound as good, you know? And of course, the mics don't sound good. It's all, the bass gets distorted. It's all echoey and there's people talking all over it. So it's like album version a million times better. This is like the only case I think I could think of where the live version is better. I mean, I don't know. I might be biased because this is the version I grew up on and the version I heard first before the album version, so there might be some bias there. But I really think, I mean, you know, having then heard the album version later, it did sound a little watered down, it sounded a little more, you know, kind of empty compared to the live version. You know, there's just so much energy, so much more noise and oomph to it. Like when Mr. C does this, he does the same scratch breakdown of both of them, but this time, you know, Big Daddy Kane does some call and response with the audience and has them singing along to the crazy cuts that Mr. C is doing, because both versions of Wraths of Kane has some great scratching, especially for 88 by Mr. C on that at the end. And they've got them kind of singing along to it, so it sounds great. The hook on the original version, it does sound like it gets a little limp to me, especially having heard the album version. And, you know, it doesn't sound that way on the live version. So that's why I say it just really comes harder. So I'm going to play you a clip now of a version you might not have heard before if you're not a cassette head. This is Wraths of Kane live.
He has arrived at the Apollo Big Daddy Kane. One, two. Can I get a stand? I got a mic stand. Hey, yo, what's up? Y'all ready to party or what? We gonna groove with this one tune for y'all. Can I see the Bside up in the air? You know what this is? The Wraths of Kane, taking over your culture, destroying negativity and suckers that come with the weak, the whack, the worst, the poor. I thrash, bash, crash, man, and then more. Blow up the scenery, I reign supremacy. You need a savior to save your so lean on me. I prey on rappers like a haunted ghost, and stomp them out like a wanted roach. I slay my prey and they decay. I blow away and throw away, so go away, cause I don't play. Attacking like a psychopath, breaking rappers in half, so feel the wrath of Kane. I get bit from sun to sun, only 21, untouched by anyone. No one throws, bangs, or blows. All foes, I keep them running like pantyhose. They get soft and tender, frontin' to surrender. I turn off more lights than Teddy Pendergrass. Bring on the class, boss see my staff, but when I'm in effect, they feel the wrath of Kane. Alright, pump your fist in the air like this, y'all. Come on, let me see the fist in the air. Come on, y'all. And let me hear you say, yeah. Come on. Come on, y'all. Yeah. Come on. Everybody, yeah! What? Yeah! Come on!
Yeah, so what do you think? To me, that's really stronger. And again, no shade, no toss, on the original version. The original version's great. But to me, it's all about that live remix. Let me know which one you think is better. And if you do comment, I promise it won't go into Twilight Zone limbo. Or if it does, I'll pull it out like right away, because now I know. Your comments will be back. And by the way, next video is probably going to be my Halloween video, because it's about that time. So see you guys next time. Peace out.